Ghosthunter is a third-person shooter that was developed by SCE Cambridge, published by SCEE, and released on the PS2 in December of 2003. Back in 2003, its reception was quite mixed, with scores ranging from 6 to 8 out of 10, and is remembered by most as just an average action game. Taking place in the city of Detroit, this game tells the story of Lazarus Jones. Yes, that's his real name, a cop that is new to the force and is investigating an old high school with his new partner Anna Steele. Jones and Steele are sent to Montsey High due to reports of strange noises coming from the building, and it is widely known that this school was abandoned as there were numerous unsolved murders here just a few years prior. During their investigation, both of them decide to split up, and while they're apart, Lazarus stumbles across some large machine in the basement. What does he decide to do when in front of this machine? Well, for no reason at all, he decides to push the giant red button. As you've probably already guessed, this causes the machine to release its entire contents, which results in hundreds of ghosts immediately escaping, leaving them to roam the world of the living once again. After freeing all of these trapped spectres, Lazarus also has a conversation with an awakened AI that quickly explains the stupidity of his red button pressing antics, and then tells him he has a responsibility to become the new ghost hunter and track all of these ghosts down. One of these ghosts was a 13th century English knight named Sir William Hawksmoor. Seriously, who's coming up with these names? And he takes an interest in Anna Steele, kidnapping her within a few minutes, and the rest of the game focuses on getting her back safely. Now, video game plots were always quite B-movie-ish, and while I have no issue with tongue-in-cheek storylines, the trouble with Ghosthunter is that I found the tone to be all over the place, bouncing between silly and serious quite frequently, and making it hard to put a finger on what sort of style it was going for. Ghosthunter's bipolar style doesn't just pertain to its story either, as I found similar traits within the gameplay. So with a name like Ghosthunter, I came into this game fully expecting some sort of Ghostbusters knockoff, an action game that focused you on going from one haunted place to the next, tracking down all sorts of ghouls and capturing them with a bunch of quirky gadgets. This assumption is sort of correct, as it is an action game with slightly quirky gadgets, but the plot is a lot more linear and focuses on a few select characters instead. Lazarus has access to a mixture of both normal weapons and pulse weapons. Both of course are used in a similar fashion, but some enemies are more vulnerable to ghost energy than regular ammo. Most ghosts can be defeated by using your weapons to weaken them a little, then throwing your capture grenade, which holds the ghost in place for a short period, giving you an opportunity to finish it off and capture it for good. The gameplay loop is fun. Things get kind of frantic when there are multiple enemies around you, but it's all perfectly enjoyable. Also, there are moments in this game where you can have a sniper battle with a ghost. Why do these ghosts have guns? Why are the ghosts shooting at you? I don't have a clue, but what I can tell you is that if you've ever wanted to get a headshot on a ghost from 100 yards away, then this is the game for you. I suppose all of these elements were added in for variety, which is always welcome. It's just that the last thing I expected when coming face to face with spectres is to have a gunfight like I'm in an old western. Luckily the action is fine, however there are a number of elements to this game's controls and mechanics that really weigh it down in my opinion, most notably the camera. I'm not exactly sure what it is about this game's perspective that just feels off. Maybe it's that the camera feels a little too close to the action and obstructs your view. Maybe it's because every time you enter a new room, the camera swings to face you and then you have to swing it back each time. Maybe it's because there are some rooms that allow you complete control of your view and other rooms where it is fixed in place like an old Resident Evil game. There are many things to pick at, and thankfully it doesn't get in the way during combat, as you just tend to aim and strafe from side to side, but ultimately it's just an annoyance that dampens the experience greatly for me. I wish there was more to say about its gameplay, but really it's just a straightforward action game that features some incredibly light puzzle solving here and there. This isn't a bad thing, as the selection of guns and gadgets combined with the brevity of its campaign do work in the game's favour. What stood out to me immediately when playing Ghosthunter was its visual quality. While the graphics can be inconsistent at times and some textures of more natural outdoor settings can look a bit rough, Character models and indoor environments look surprisingly good for a game that was released in 2003. I especially enjoyed the effect that is used when a ghost is captured, and overall the enemies seem to shift between solid creatures and spirits during combat, and it all adds to the fact that the game's visual presentation is definitely its strength. The creatures that you come up against do have some nice designs to them, however they range from, oh that's a cool looking ghost, all the way to, wait, is that a crocodile on two legs with a chainsaw? The strange camera also plagues the cutscenes with some really weird choices for shots sometimes, as the camera is zoomed in just a little too much and characters step in and out of frame all of the time. You can tell there was a cinematic focus for its story, but some of the camera angles are somewhat baffling. Regarding its soundtrack and voice acting, the bipolar theme continues. Sometimes the background music is creepy and sinister, sometimes it sounds like a futuristic action movie, and other times it comes across slightly comical. The same applies to the voice acting. While the lines are delivered well, it's hard to capture the tone at times, as the main character Lazarus is full of witty lines like a budget Nathan Drake, but then other characters play things quite straight, and it all falls between two stools.
I want flesh.
In conclusion, Ghosthunter is a good action game that had a lot of promise and cool ideas, but is dragged into mediocrity by a bunch of strange design choices that occasionally get in the way of its fun. Its visuals are great, its gameplay is decent, and I don't have any major complaints, but there are enough small things to pick at that I don't feel like I can give this one anything more than 3 stars. This is not a game that you have to add to your wish list, but it is worth the 5 or 6 hours it will take to complete.